Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Franchise Tagged podcast, kicking off your week 14 of NFL action here on this fine Thursday morning. We will, as always, go through our pick'ems results from last week, talk about some topics as we do, and we'll get to everybody's favorite segment, the players by numbers. Oh, woohoo! Continued.
This
All
this
right,
is gonna be the most hack job video ever.
they all are, bud. So this week in Pick'ems, I went on a couple streaks as I do. I went 8-5 overall, but I got 4 in a row correct, and then missed 3, and then 4 more in a row correct, and then missed the last 2. And that 8-5 puts me overall at 117-76. My lock on the Dolphins hit. 10-3 is my lock record, and that is all I got for you.
Yeah, I had two streaks as well, one of 5 wins and then 2 losses and then 4 wins. I was 9-4 this week, missing on both the Sunday night and Monday night games, which I want to point out you did as well. We suck at that, I guess.
See, you said that we suck at predicting primetime games, and I'm either
Yeah,
like spot on or I am awful at it.
I've actually been really good with them up until probably like week 10. Because
Mm.
week 10 I missed Sunday and Monday night football. I did it this week. Um, Missed with the Lions on Thanksgiving, but I've actually had a pretty good record on like that. It just really feels like we are always wrong, and then it's like, oh, okay, they win last second. Like it never looks like it's in favor of the guys we pick, and then it's either like it flips and we end up losing despite it being their game the whole time, or they never stood a chance and then they lose.
Yeah, we finally got a good Thursday night football game this past week as well, and that came at the cost of the other primetime games sucking. So it's got to be one or the other. Uh, and that Thursday night game, man, that was just high scoring, high flying action. That's what we love to see in primetime. It's always fun. And would I have liked to see the Cowboys lose? Of course, I always do. But at least we got a good game out of it.
Yeah. And just to throw some shade on some other games, it didn't feel overly reffed like some of the ones we'll get into later.
I have a little document written about the refs that I will get into when we get there.
Nice.
But
Speech, speech, speech.
speech. Yeah. Uh, Throughout the week, we saw some fun things, like the Chargers winning 6-0 on 2 second quarter field goals, and those were the only points scored in that game. The Patriots' defense is so unbelievably good. They are so amazing. And it is to a historic level, the difference between how good their defense is and how awful their offense is. They have gone and 3 games in a row have allowed 10 or fewer points. They are 0-3 in those 3 games. They have not won. They have not put up
I
more than 10 points in the past 3 games. That has not happened since the 30s, Elijah.
Oh my
The
god.
1930s, or maybe it's the 50s, but either way,
Yeah, when offense didn't exist
it's
yet.
historically bad. Historically bad. And it pains me to be a Patriots fan. It truly does. And it's something that can't be fixed in one offseason. It can't be fixed by throwing one good quarterback in there because the
there
system
was
sucks. And it's just, ah,
there
that's
was
all I
a,
got.
a thing I saw, and it was like they've allowed the fewest points in the past like 4 weeks, and then anyone else, and it's like, oh, the other people are like the Niners and like other teams that are winning a lot, and then they're just 0-4 in that stretch of time. It's
Yeah,
like, oh,
in the
geez.
past 4 weeks, they've allowed like 46 points. Next best is 49 points allowed.
Hmm.
The 5 teams that have allowed the next fewest points have lost at most 1 game over that 4 game stretch. The Patriots have lost all 4. So get us a real offensive coordinator and literally anybody else to throw the ball. Put me out there. I'll do it. I'll do better than McCorkle and
I
Bailey.
think just put you at calling plays. I mean, I don't know who they have, what intern they keep shuffling out there to try to do that job, but man,
It's
it's
not an
not
intern.
right.
It's not. It's Bill O'Brien.
and we wonder why they.
Yeah. Best
Um,
offensive coordinator we've had in the past 2 years is Matt Patricia, baby.
I'm gonna segue us over to ease your pain to a Jets loss, 13-8. Um, why do we let the Jets keep playing football, and why must they continue to bench the quarterback they have starting in each and every game?
Why did they score more points than the Patriots?
All right. Well, I tried to segue you off of that, but
It's
clearly your
impossible.
mind's
It's
stuck.
impossible.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, I do want to point out that Nicole Pruitt
Michael
is
Pruitt.
Michael Pruitt with one touchdown. A tight end on the Falcons gets a touchdown,
But
and
guess what?
it's
But guess what?
surprisingly not.
You want to know why he got that touchdown? Because Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson and Drake London, they're great decoys, Elijah. You just don't see the vision, right?
Yeah,
You
you
send
got
them all to
three
one side of
great
the
decoys
field,
out
right?
there.
And everybody's on that side of the field. So my Cole Pruitt, he can shade out to the left, and he can get you a touchdown for sure, man. You just don't see the
Another
vision. All right.
another thing I want to point out from that game is I saw like Desmond Ritter's like pass to him, like, okay, that was a great pass. And I'm like, cool highlight. I wonder how they're doing in their game. He ended the game with 120 passing yards. Um, and
Get
that was the only touchdown of, I mean, obviously with the score, but like it was, I was like expecting like, oh, maybe they're doing something. No,
get
Desmond
Arthur
Ritter
Smith
is,
out of there.
yeah,
Get him out.
Desmond Ritter is Desmond Ritter, and right now he ain't gonna be doing nothing like that. Um,
We had some injuries in this past week. A few in some games. Kenny Pickett went out late with an ankle injury, and Mitch came in and finished that game out. And Deontay Johnson was dancing down 14 in the fourth quarter to the Cardinals after he scored a touchdown to cut the lead to 14 against the Cardinals. And some news that
the
the
Chris Paul clip. That's
Chris
what that
Paul
just
hits a clutch
reminded
three to cut the lead to 42.
me.
But some news at the quarterback position in Pittsburgh. Trace McSorley, the legend, the GOAT himself, will be throwing it on a dime in Pittsburgh, coming soon to a Heinz Field near you. It's not
Acrisure
Acrisure.
State.
It's not Acrisure. It's Heinz Field, all right? I know the name. I refuse to use it. Anywho, we also had Minka get hurt that game, broke his hand. He didn't care, slapped a glove on it, and
Yep.
came back out there. And then we had Tank Dell in a scrum on the goal line, fracturing his fibula, and Trevor Lawrence spraining his ankle. Very scary looking injury, but ultimately not a super bad one to have. It's one that he'll be back from by the end of the season, I believe. There's no official word on it yet, but the way they were talking about it, it's not super serious. We also had Ramondre go down, and that was with a high ankle sprain, so he'll be out a few weeks. And Kenny Pickett he underwent surgery for a high ankle sprain, but it's not season-ending surgery. He's just going to be out a couple weeks. So, Shaq Leonard got signed to the Eagles, a 1-year deal, so he'll be there for the rest of this season. That was he was released a week or two ago, and the Eagles with some really poor linebacking play against the 49ers. I mean, really poor team play against the 49ers, if we're being fair, but. Yeah, really bad linebacking core, and they get a little boost to it, hopefully, if he can come back to his all-pro self or Pro Bowl self or whatever he was. And then what I want to do real quick is have, since we're talking about the Eagles game, the 49ers game, I want to have the Brock Purdy conversation again and kind of finalize my thoughts on it, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of goes...
The whole scheme thing.
Goes
matter
in
who it is.
No, and that's the thing. It's going to kind of tie in with the MVP race with Purdy being the favorite. If anybody could succeed in that offense, Trey Lance would be the greatest number 3 overall pick of all time. He's an uber athletic quarterback.
He had how many snaps as?
But he wasn't the answer. He wasn't. He didn't look good when he was in. That's the thing, is even if he had few snaps, he didn't look as good as Brock Purdy did coming in for an injured Jimmy Garoppolo in just like in a random game, finishing that game out. He looked elite. And Trey Lance didn't. And if Brock
in his
Purdy...
career, 262 snaps under center for the Niners there.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is in those 262 snaps, he didn't look as good as Brock Purdy did when he came in for an injured Jimmy Garoppolo, not expecting to play that game.
Fair.
So why
It's
not? You know?
yeah. It's more so like, I mean, accuracy is just like kind of inherent at the NFL level. The transition from college, that's probably the one thing you're gonna like not have much of a shift on is how accurate can you get the ball on somebody. And Purdy is very accurate as he's shown us, but Trey didn't have that like out the gate. And so I mean, pick number 3, not being able to accurately put the ball on guys in a scheme that literally is the only requirement of the quarterback is get it accurately to the guys that I'm going to scheme wide open for you, then yeah, it's a tough look.
Another thing about Purdy is that he can read the field at an extremely high level, and yeah, he's got elite playmakers everywhere, but not every elite playmaker is always wide open, or every quarterback job would be amazing and easy as soon as you get an elite playmaker or two. So he's finding the open guy, getting the ball to him, and doing that at a really high level and keeping his team at a very high level in the NFC and beating the top dogs. And the other thing is the conversation around him was always about how he couldn't play out of structure, or he couldn't improvise. And then he had that one game where he could improvise, and he did, and he was scrambling around, getting out of the pocket, finding an open guy down the field, and he did that, and he had one of his best performances, and then that's just forgotten now because he had a couple weak games after he had a concussion and wasn't pulled. Yeah. So
everyone's like, I mean, it's just how it is. The wishy-washiness. I mean, CJ Stroud is the best ever, and then it's like
he threw 3 picks in a game, and yeah. Now he's not. Now he sucks.
Well, it's even like, okay, well, he threw 2 picks in a game, and they still won the game, so we're going to completely ignore the fact that he threw any picks at all. And then it's just like, okay, well, he did it again, so now we're completely off his bandwagon, and he's not going to be the MVP anymore, and it's now Brock Purdy, because Brock Purdy had 4 touchdowns. So it's like, okay, I get that it changes, obviously, who you're going to want, but, like, don't broadcast that, like, this is the guy. He's going to be winning MVP. And next week, change who you're picking for MVP for the year.
Yeah. If we want to kind of get into, like, our list for MVP, I've got a few guys, at least off the top of my head, that I can think of that either I think deserve the award, and then the ones that I think will be in the running and will win the award.
We got Purdy, Prescott, Jalen Hurts, and then next tier is Lamar Jackson, next tier Patrick Mahomes, next tier Tua, then Josh Allen, Christian McCaffrey, Tyreek Hill, and CJ Stroud. Which, what a fall for CJ Stroud.
No kidding.
But also, it's a quarterback award.
It is.
Why on earth is Josh Allen above CMC or Tyreek Hill?
Yeah.
I know let me get back in my little box and I have to hate Josh Allen. But
I'm gonna stop you real quick before we let any opinions slide before we give our lists, because all I got is 2 names of guys that I think deserve the award, and 2 names of guys that I think are going to be in the running, and none of them cross over. Now, first name, I'm gonna go with the guys that I think are going to be in the running first, just to build some suspense for who I think actually deserves the award. And I think it's going to be between Dak and Brock Purdy. I don't think Jalen Hurts has had a good season. I think the Eagles have had a good season. It's not been Jalen Hurts. He's had really rough performances, and he always manages to turn it around and get some touchdowns and, push his way to a couple more scores than I guess he deserves. But he's just had some rough stretches, and if he wins MVP, I'm done talking football. Like, I'll retire from this. I'm so dead serious. If he keeps his performance at his current level and he wins MVP, I'm done. I will retire. And so the 2 names that I think should or will be in the running, like the legitimate, these are your guys, is Dak and Brock Purdy. Dak is having an extremely efficient year, a lot of touchdowns, not a lot of interceptions. And out of those top 3 guys, you've got Jalen Hurts with the Eagles, elite playmakers, elite offensive line, really good defense, so the record is good, and he's still not putting up the performance you would like to see. Brock Purdy, elite playmakers, elite offensive line, really good defense, and he's putting up the numbers you would expect him to see, so he's kind of doing what I think Jalen Hurts should be doing. And then Dak. don't get me wrong, really good playmakers, really solid offensive line, and a very solid defense, but I don't think I'd put any of them in that same elite tier that I would the Eagles and 49ers. I think out of those three, the Cowboys have the worst weapons, they have the worst offensive line, and they have the worst defense, just out of those three. Doesn't mean they're not good, but I'd take the Eagles receiving core over the Cowboys receiving core. I'd do the same with the 49ers. I'd do the same with their O-lines. I'd do the same with their defenses. And Dak is doing better than I think both of those other quarterbacks, maybe not better than Purdy, but I think that he deserves to be in the conversation for the award, as much as it pains me as a Cowboys hater to say. I think he's doing a lot, and I think he's doing it really well.
Statistically, he's doing significantly better. On the year, he has 26 TDs to just 6 interceptions, which is quite the change of discussion for Dak with how he generally has been. Jalen is 19 TDs to 10, which is like almost a flip on his script as well, where it's like, oh, he's going to be the take care of the ball kind of guy.
Include the rushing touchdowns. It's not Jalen rushing.
Yeah, it's being pushed in the back.
O-line creating space.
Doesn't matter who's doing it. Yeah.
I could do it.
It's not like he's out there like making people miss. Like if it's or like Josh Allen bodies his way through on a QB read option. No, he's literally just like sit still, lean.
I will give him the overtime game-winning touchdown run. He ran it in from like 6 yards out. That I'll give him, that he created that one. But 90% of his rushing touchdowns in his career are, I'm 1 yard out, my O-line pushed it open, and I took a step forward. And there was a lot of stuff going around where he's in the running to beat Cam Newton's rushing touchdowns by a quarterback record. And there's a highlight reel comparing the two's quarterback rushing touchdowns, and Cam Newton is completing a flip over 2 defenders into the end zone, running it in from 20 yards out, and Jalen Hurts is taking 1 step forward into the end zone from 1 yard out. So it's not the same, and I won't credit him for those at all.
So you said those were your 2 won't get it, but could contend?
No. Those are my 2 contenders. Those are the 2 guys that I think are going to be the top 2. I think they're going to get, one of those 2 is going to get the award.
Interesting. So, just looking at the list of the favorites list here, the ones I would say are like most out of it. I mean, Mahomes is having probably his worst year, and it's not really his fault.
Yeah. I mean, that pick throw was not a good throw, but
yeah, he's been doing that. Like, I feel like it's just confidence in the wide receivers. Like, he's lost like the clutch ability that he's been known for. Like, he's been throwing picks late in games when you're like, oh, this is when you need to be worried. Like, no,
it's not the 13 seconds Patrick Mahomes anymore. It's get that man some weapons. Oh my God, Patrick Mahomes now.
Yeah. But I'm looking at this list, and if you want to make it a quarterback only award, because Tyreek Hill is on momentous, I mean, we all I mean, I even had a note of it just from the game. They put him in man coverage for some reason. They ran cover 1 on him, and he just beat the guy instantly, took it, ran 75, maybe even more than that.
I think it was 72 and 60 were his 2 touchdowns.
So 72, because it was his first touchdown. But, man, like, how do you let that happen? How are you not doubling him every single play?
Just to clarify real quick, the other 2 names I have, the 2 guys that I think deserve the award, are CMC and Tyreek Hill. They won't get it because they're not quarterbacks, but those are the 2 guys that I think genuinely deserve the MVP. If there was ever a wide receiver MVP, it's Tyreek Hill this year. And if there's, I mean, running back MVPs have happened plenty of times before, but I don't think McCaffrey gets it unless he goes over 2K rushing, which he's not going to do.
But when I'm looking at this list, it's like, I feel like it's really hard to not see CJ Stroud as front runner. Because, like, okay, he's not winning as much as the other teams, but look at what his team did last season compared to what it's doing this season. Like, that is the definition of most valuable player. He wasn't there last year. He's come in, they're winning games, and not to mention he's leading the league in passing yards. He has 20 touchdowns to only 5 interceptions. Like, he's being productive. It's not like he's not being Sam Howell here, where they're losing, and he has 18 TDs and he has 14 interceptions, but he's second in the league for passing yards. Like, he's leading in yards. He's being a respectable TD int ratio, and I mean more than respectable.
Yeah, he's
Um,
efficient. He's extremely efficient.
yeah, and he's also just shown great flashes, turning a team that was nothing into a playoff contender.
Yeah.
And it's it's a lot of coaching as well. Like the culture is vastly different. You can just tell watching their coach on the sidelines, watching them in locker room, just celebrations, stuff like that. Like it's way different in Houston versus the Bill O'Brien era, but or Masseuse Man era. Kind of gotten
Hey,
back to
he was elite in
some.
Houston. He was elite
He
in
was
Houston.
elite for 1 year,
On
but
and off the field,
I'll let
elite.
Oh man.
Crazy record.
Uh-huh. The I see him as the MVP, despite the fact that like conversation fell, and right now he's last on the list I just gave of betting
Yeah,
lines.
I think the thing that hurts him the most is losing Tank Dell, because I think that I don't think it's gonna genuinely like make him be that much worse, but he like personally got Tank Dell drafted to the Texans. He on that phone with the front on the phone with the front office, he was like,
It's that
"Get Tank Dell," and then
that
they
Burrow and Chase vibe.
yeah, I mean they weren't college teammates or anything. He was just
Yeah.
like, "I threw to this guy at the combine, get him," and
Mm-hmm.
they were like, "Okay," and it's been awesome to see. And without him, I think he still has an elite connection with Nico Collins. Noah Brown's
Yeah.
been really good this year, and I think they'll have a third guy that kind of steps up and takes Tank Dell's spot and his role. But I just don't know if it's going to be the same without Tank Dell. And I think that's the only thing that hurts him is that he's already kind of falling in the talks, and he just lost one of his best playmakers. So I just don't know if he's legitimately going to be in the running. I think he definitely deserves to. I think he's almost single-handedly transformed that offense, like you were saying. But
Yeah.
I just don't think he's got a real shot at it, especially, like, unfortunately, as a rookie. Everybody will look at it and be like, well, but he's a rookie and rookies don't win this award. And it's just kind of like a preconceived notion that you're a rookie, you're not MVP, as deserving as it may be.
Yeah. It's I mean, it would suck for that to be the route it goes. I'd understand if he like falls off a cliff, but like uh, I don't I don't see that happening. I feel like he's gonna at least like keep the pace that he's had the past like if you just average out the past like 5 games, because that's like okay he's getting worse. We're seeing mistakes now, but it's still better than to me Jalen Hurts like by a
That's
mile.
a low bar, bud. But
Yeah, like by a mile, it's better than the current betting favorite, like
yeah,
tied for odds with Purdy. So
and Dak.
I think
Yeah,
that it should be Tyreek if Tyreek breaks the 2K mark. I
and
think that
I think
there's
that
a
the
it shouldn't be a quarterback this year,
yeah
and if it is, it needs to be a super efficient quarterback, not Jalen Hurts, not Patrick Mahomes.
not
Like
this is the quarterback and this team is really good.
yeah,
He's the MVP. No, it's not your team lost only 3 games and you're the quarterback of it, so you're winning the award. That's not how that should go.
yeah,
I think
like
that if Tyreek does break the yardage record, I think he'll be in a genuine conversation for it. And I think
mhm,
the MVP committee, like the people that vote on it, I think they'll kind of take their bias away from quarterbacks if the media and like the viewer base is able to kind of push the narrative of Tyreek Hill deserves a shot at this. I think they'll give him a fair shake, and I hope that's what
you don't
happens.
think that they'll leave him out of it like a certain other committee did to a certain fan base.
Are
That's
we
really
gonna
upset about
are
something.
we gonna talk about college football?
Do we
Is
have to make
franchise tagged going to talk about college football? The
also make
NFL
them
podcast?
Chinese?
All right. All right. Nope. We're talking about college football. And if we're talking about
Yeah,
college football, we're doing this. All right. FSU didn't deserve it. Debate a wall. Is it
I
time
think
for me to
it's
rant?
rant time.
It's rant time. All right. So, refs have been terrible all season. This is nothing new. They have been affecting the outcomes of games. This is nothing new. This was another level of bad refereeing. I'm just going to go through on the final drive of Sunday Night Football. For the Chiefs offense had it. They had a chance to go down the field, a vintage Mahomes drive, and score. and they could have tied or won the game. I don't remember what the score was, guys. I don't pay attention. Come on. You
It
expect
would
me
have
to
been
do all
a
that?
2 point.
Nah.
They would have needed a 2 point.
So they were down 8, yeah. I do remember that vaguely. But anywho, I'm just going to go through the calls that were bad. And then I'm going to have some thoughts at the end of it as well. So the first call, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, should have been ruled down by contact. Clock should have kept going. It didn't. The clock stopped. Chiefs get extra plays. Mahomes was hit in bounds. The refs threw a roughing flag. The review happened. You saw the replay. Mahomes had not gone out of bounds. And the player that was called for roughing was protecting the sticks, something that all defensive players need to be able to do without fear of getting called for penalties that don't actually happen. And they didn't pick up the flag. They didn't say that the roughing didn't happen. They kept it. They gave the Chiefs another play. Deep ball to Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He got tackled midair. Then the ball goes past him. No DPI called. Horrible call. Call it a makeup call. It's a horrible call. I don't care. Then, final play of the game, Hail Mary. And this is where I will give the refs the ever so slightest pass, because it does kind of seem that Hail Marys have a different rule book, because it's not like a defensive player can stop an offensive player from running their route when their route is just, hey, go to the end zone. Like it's a little different when there's a receiver that's clearly running a crosser and the defensive player grabs him and stops him. That's a flag. That's a defensive pass interference or a holding or an illegal contact, whatever it is, depending on where the ball is. In Hail Marys, it's a little different, and I know that typically pass interference is not called on Hail Marys unless it's like egregious and blatant, and this kind of wasn't. But in my opinion, the Packers got to Kelsey very early and took him out of the play completely on the Hail Mary, so it was 1-on-4 with, I think it was MVS again, and 4 Packers defenders, and there was just no shot he was coming down with that. And no call happened. So the refs have affected the outcome of yet another game. I don't care if you think the Packers deserved the win or if you think the Chiefs deserved the win. I think the Packers outplayed the Chiefs, and I think a lot of people agree with that. I don't care. I'm still furious with the calls on both sides. I don't want there to be makeup calls. I understand that there are bad calls and then the refs seemingly throw bad flags the other way. Stop that. Stop doing makeup calls. Just ref the game correctly. We've talked in the past this season already about how the refs need to be on salary. They need to be fined. They need to be able to be fired. They need to be full-time so that they can face repercussions and they can study tape and actually see the calls that they're making instead of being paid for game day and then going home and doing whatever the fuck they want to.
I do want to just name some names here. The referees for the game were Rick Patterson, Greg Yett, Boris Cheek, Sarah Thomas, Brad Allen, Dwayne Head, and Walt Flowers.
Fire
And
all of them.
After the game, referee Brad Allen, this is per NBC Sports, he said this: "As you may know, on every play where there may or may not be a pass interference, either offensive or defensive, the covering officials have to rule whether the contact materially restricted the receiver. In this case, the covering officials were in good position to see the play and ruled that there was no material restriction. That was DPI. And that was for MVS giving a piggyback ride to a Packers player."
Look, all right, I get it. MVS can't catch deep balls. It doesn't mean that any deep ball thrown to MVS is just uncatchable and they can commit DPI.
I mean, the corner would have been better off not touching the guy, and he probably would have dropped it anyway.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
It's the fact that he was draped over him and then it was not called. That's egregious.
Yeah, that is the end of my ref rant. I wrote that all out, and yeah, I don't really like the Packers that much. I do like the Chiefs. I like seeing Mahomes succeed.
I like
And
seeing Isaiah
I still
Pacheco.
think, of course, I love seeing Isaiah Pacheco succeed. By the way, he had a great game. Shout out Isaiah
By the
Pacheco.
way, just on the level of roughing, on a play that is called back after the fact, there's like a whole scrum going on, and it's like, okay, obviously the guy who fights back is always the guy getting penalized on those kind of things. That was just weird to me. They're like, okay, we're acting as if the ball was called dead. Why does a thing that happened during the live play matter right now? Because he was like getting blocked into the ground, so he's gonna be a little upset about that.
Yeah.
But you're still gonna like call that flag and penalty when I feel like anything after the subsequent, like, okay, the play is called dead, unless it's like egregious, maybe don't call that. But it felt like it was a weird impact on the game that didn't need to be there.
The refs have way too much of a hand in the games, and there just needs to be something done. And I really hope that, like, this season specifically, like, I know in the past there's always been some criticism of the refs, but it feels like it's a couple, like, egregious calls that are missed throughout the full season. And then at the end of the season, people kind of forget about it, and they're like, oh well, except for that one DPI in the or uncalled DPI Saints Rams game.
Yeah.
That one is so egregious, and that one in particular kind of,
and then it led to the most boring Super Bowl matchup in a long time.
I formally apologize as a Patriots fan for that one. It's my bad. But yeah, I think that this season, it hasn't been a couple really egregious calls. It has been every single week in every single game, the referees affect the outcome of the game in a terrible way, and they completely change every single game that they ref, which is, shocker, all of them. So I think that after this season, if we keep up the unhappiness with the refs, maybe Goodell will see it and have to do something. But ideally, they become full-time employees. They have to study film and see what missed calls are, and they face repercussions for terrible calls. And there's like a committee that says, hey, bad call.
Oh no, we're back to committees.
Sorry, FSU fans. I know the word committee gives you
gives
you some Vietnam flashbacks.
Mm-hmm.
But that is all we got for the topics, except for the best players by number, 31 to 40. And we gotta get through that quick so we can get to our stocks and pick'ems, and we are already at 45 minutes of recording.
Hey yo. Luckily, this is going to be a quick group of players by number.
Yep.
The 30s are scarce, and
the 40s
we did a little bit of looking ahead. We're scared. Yeah. Starting off with 31, I have a shout out to Kirby Joseph here because he is the anti-Aaron Rodgers. He goes ahead and did great when he was in division, so just shouting him out. But the ones I actually have in the running here are the suspension. What's the word I'm looking for?
Advocate. Opposer.
Yeah, the advocate for the suspended's rights, I guess, is Justin Simmons. Makes his showing here. I also have Raheem Mostert, and then I have Kevin Byard. And any names that I said that were on your radar that I missed?
Yeah, actually, I've got 4 names down. Cam Curl is one of them. It's just kind of a shout out. He's not better than Justin Simmons. He's not better than Kevin Byard, but he's a solid safety on a bad football team. So shout out to Cameron Curl. And I think he was a 7th round pick as well. So he was a very late draft pick that's actually turned out to be pretty decent. So it's just cool to see. And then I've got the other 3 names, Kevin Byard, Justin Simmons, and Antoine Winfield Jr.
I will block that out because pain.
Yeah.
A certain freeze frame picture of this
Fair.
in my mind.
Yeah, I think
for real.
I think if we're going just like raw, like who's the best, Justin Simmons is kind of the best, but because he's defending Kareem Jackson, I will not pick him, and I'm not even joking on that. I will take either Kevin Byard or Antoine Winfield Jr. over Justin Simmons just because of that. And I think I'm leaning Kevin Byard without really knowing what he's done this year a ton, just like off of name value and how he's on the Eagles now, so he's got to be doing pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and take Kevin Byard.
All right. Well, if you're taking him, I feel now amiss to not take Antoine Winfield just because of the pain he has instilled in me.
I can
Um,
take Winfield if you want Byard instead. I don't mind that. It was really a
no,
toss up
I was
between
gonna be
them.
taking Simmons, so you're
Okay.
you're actually just clearing a whole bunch of stuff up.
Okay.
Yeah, you're just saving both of us here. Um, yeah, you can get into pick 32 then,
There's
number 32.
three guys that I have written down. One of them I know you'll love because,
Uh huh.
Lions fan. But the other two I think are better than him just because, I don't know the value of a nickel player. He's the value's going up of nickel corners, nickel safeties, like that slot player. The value's going up because of the versatility you can have with them, and Brian Branch is having him a hell of a rookie season. But I think that Tyrann Mathieu is a bit better, and I think that Nick Bolton is a bit better, and I think I am going to go ahead and take Nick Bolton here as the best player to wear number 32.
Yeah, we will be agreeing on that because I do want to point out one notable absence from this game with the Packers that we were just talking about with the Chiefs is Nick Bolton. Nick Bolton's injured, and I think it really shows with the. They also have other. I think I never remember his name. Starts with a D. Used to be a Chargers linebacker.
Drew Tranquil.
Yes, Drew Tranquil is
He
also
went
hurt
out
for them.
early in that game.
Yep. So it was a very depleted group for them. Um, but I think that he's easily the best here because of the years he's had to show it. Brian Branch, he had a little bit of an injury, so we have even less tape on Branch to compare to this.
And I
And that said, I don't even think Branch would be over Tyrann Mathieu because Tyrann Mathieu has, again, tape out. He's an
yeah,
established player
I
versus that, like, rookie flash.
yeah, I think a lot of Brian Branch is the rookie flash, especially I think he has 2 touchdowns, right? I know he has the one
Uh,
from opening night.
he has one touchdown, and I think he has two interceptions. He had an interception this last game, and I think he has had just the one on Mahomes
Okay.
otherwise.
I know he's had some big flashy plays, and I think that's kind of what propels him to the front of my mind. I mean, obviously with you as a Lions fan, you'd kind of shove the Lions rookies, and
Right down your throat. Yep.
yeah, but yeah, Nick Bolton there. I think we can agree on that. Moving to 33, I've got 3 names written down. One of them is a personal favorite pick just because of Madden, and then the other two, there's really only one answer for me. But I've got Devin Lloyd as my personal favorite. I user him in Madden. He's really cool. And then Jamal Adams was really good and was hurt for a while, and he's come back now, and he's been pretty decent this season. And by pretty decent, I mean he's been good this season. And then the third name, the one I'm actually going to be picking, is Jalen Johnson of the Bears.
Yep. I've got two other, um, or rather just one other shout out that you had missed there, and it's Aaron Jones. Obviously not a top end guy, but I
I
feel like
didn't
he's
miss
always
him.
been a middle of the pack, good running back for the Packers. But
Yeah.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
not this year, and definitely doesn't make a significant impact on who I'm picking here. Which, again, I'm matching you. I'm going to be taking Jalen Johnson. I have to see him because I'm in a region where the NFC North is always on, so I have to watch a lot of Bears, even if I don't want to.
Next up at 34, we've got 2 backup running backs. This is a really depleted number. Going forward, they're all really depleted. I think 38 and 39 are the only 2 further down the board that have solid players at them.
Safe havens, yeah.
Yeah. And those 2 players are Jerome Ford and Rico Dowdle. And I'm going Jerome
What a
Ford
group.
just because Rico Dowdle isn't that good. He's just getting snaps for to
Necessity.
yeah, just to kind of take some of the load off of Tony Pollard. But Jerome Ford actually had some solid games, and he's been hurt a little bit, but still pretty good.
All right.
Still pretty
So
solid.
ironically, I have two names that you didn't pick out of this lock fest. Um, Honorable mention goes out to Jake Funk. I thought I might
2021
be able
draft
to say
class,
that.
baby. Woo!
I thought I might be able to say that with a straight face, but I could not.
That's okay.
And then the guy I'm actually taking over Jerome Ford or Rico Dowdle due to the fact that they are both backups. I'm at least going to be taking a starting middle linebacker in Alex Anzalone, Lions guy. He's he's a decent middle linebacker. I'm not gonna say he's like a good one, but I'd certainly take his value of middle linebacker over Rico Dowdle. So that's
Yeah,
where I'm
I
sitting.
guess I guess I should have put him over Rico Dowdle, but I'd still take Jerome Ford. So
Okay.
then next up, 35. There was only one name that I even wrote down, and that was Gus Edwards, because I think everybody else was just like a literal nobody, like a no-name player that I did not recognize from anywhere. So that's who I'm going with here.
What was that name you just said you're
Gus
going?
Edwards.
Okay. Um, I have a minor shout out for Boston Scott just because I love Boston Scott. I feel like anytime Boston Scott gets the ball in his hands, I'm like instantly like engaged. I'm like, oh, he's out there. Yeah,
He owns the
that's it.
Giants. I do know that.
And oh yeah, That's-
Yeah.
I always see that pop in every now and then. And
Anytime the
then
Eagles
here's
play the Giants, you just see, oh, Boston Scott. Every time he plays the Giants, he rips them apart.
mhm. So here is me entering my stretch where just I'm picking what I know, and what I know is the NFC North because I'm going to be going Corey Ballantyne because oh my god, he's such a mid corner, but
For
oh my
35.
god, yeah, is he not?
I
Am
just
I looking
didn't.
at
I
the wrong?
mean, I didn't recognize the name at all, and I know Gus Edwards has had
Oh
some
yeah.
really solid games this year, so I think he's a little bit better. But
Let me refresh myself on Gus Edwards because I do not know how Gus Edwards has done other than
he had
having
like
a
that
couple.
3 touchdown
Oh,
game.
this is actually like this is probably his best year.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Because
okay,
J.K.
I'll be
Dobbins
going with
is
that then.
eternally hurt,
Yeah. I will
unfortunately.
be changing my mind then and going Gus Edwards there because I was just thinking of Gus Edwards from years past where it's like, okay, kind of a mid little backup guy, but now he's actually getting the reps for it.
Yeah.
I'll go there.
Then 36, your boy himself. I'm
Mm-hmm.
taking a backup kicker for my team. It's going to be Riley Patterson. If you recall, back in the top 10, I took
Mm-hmm.
Justin Tucker. But yeah,
Yeah.
Riley
We
Patterson.
we got some. I'll agree with you there because do you want to just say some of the names that are
You know,
also
I don't have it pulled up anymore, but I can pull it up real quick.
okay?
Uh,
Yeah, let's just skirt over
37,
some of
right?
it.
That's
Some of
where
those made up names.
or
There
30,
was just Dear
36.
Taylor.
Is it 30,
Yeah.
36, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the
A guy
players that
named
are wearing
Taiwan.
36 this season is going to be Owen Wright, Najee Thompson, Jasir Taylor, Tease Tabor, Sheldrick Redwine, Riley Patterson, Tristan McCollum, Tywan Jones, Danny Johnson, Anthony Johnson, Brandon Hill, Julius Chestnut, Andre
What a name.
Chatchery, and Curtis Bolton. That's everybody that wears number 36. I implore you
Currently
to find a
active.
player
Yep.
better than Riley Patterson in that list.
Yep. Who gets reps? Let's see it.
And then for number 37, I'm going with Titans safety Amani Hooker. He's a starting safety in the league, and 37 has the same problem that 36 did, where it's just full of nobodies.
Um, yeah, basically. Um,
There's more of the nobodies, but
there's more nobodies. In fact, there is. I'm also agreeing with you on Amani Hooker.
I think Trey Herndon's
There's
all
no
right.
competition here.
Is Trey Herndon any good? He's played in every game this year. He's not that good. All right, yeah. And then at 38, we kind of enter our little 2-number stretch of solid players. Here I've got an honorable mention to Ramondre Stevenson, who's a decent running back, and L'Jarius Sneed, who is my pick.
Yeah. I have an honorable mention to Terrell Edmonds, but L'Jarius Sneed is the pick.
And then 39, Minka, easy.
Yeah. Get that out of the way. Shout out Nate Hobbs.
Yeah, 2021
I mean,
draft class.
y'all still suck as a defense, but shout out Nate Hobbs.
And then 40, the only name I recognized at all that wears number 40 is Von Miller.
Yeah. I wonder how his court trial.
Yeah, that's the
Wonder,
only.
wonder what that settlement's gonna look like. Shout out that situation.
Shout out the courts.
Uh-huh. Big shout out to the justice system. I hope you figure your shit out.
Yep.
Let's both agree on Von Miller there.
Yep. And then I think we can move into the stock market if you are ready for that.
Is it that time?
I think it is
for
that
the
time.
stocks?
It's time for the stocks. Stock watch logo on the screen.
Yeah,
and everything.
called that for a reason.
Wow. So, just some updates for my stocks. Again, I only own the Cardinals and the Dolphins. I have 4 shares of the Cardinals stock and 3 shares of the Dolphins stock. The Dolphins won this week. They are so good that they didn't increase in value after a win. So that's where
Woohoo!
I'm at with them. Suffering a little bit from that. But the Cardinals
Suffering
won
from
this
success.
week. So they went from being worth 175 a share to being worth 250 a share. So that's a big jump for them. Takes the value of my 4 shares of them from 700 to $1,000. And if you want to get into updating your stocks, then I will get into talking about
Yeah.
mine.
Yeah. So Bears were on bye week this week, so no movement on that stock holding for me. I also have the Panthers who lost, but surprise, surprise, lost no value, and the Cardinals who I also got to have that success with, where they jumped in value due to the one win they squeaked out.
All
Sorry,
right.
what am I saying? Brain freeze.
The third win they squeaked out.
Yeah, yeah. Go.
So, for my stocks, I'm going to be making one move, one single, small little itty bitty move. I'm going to sell all my Cardinal stock going
I knew
forward.
that.
So,
Yeah,
they
bye week next
they
week.
improved to 3-10. They have their bye, then they go 49ers, Bears,
Mm-hmm.
Eagles, and Seahawks. They might compete against the Bears. I don't think they're going to win any of their remaining games. I would bet my life savings that they're not winning against the 49ers unless something catastrophic happens to that team. And I would bet the same about the Eagles, and I would bet strongly on the Seahawks. It is a divisional matchup, so there is a little bit extra there, but the Seahawks have started to come into their own and look really strong as of late, so I'm not feeling confident in the Cardinals at all.
Yeah,
And the fact that they've jumped up to being 250 a share is crazy.
massive
So
for
my
that. Yeah,
bank will be at 1100 and I will no longer own any Cardinals stock, which means
yeah.
I
We
am
kind of
down to
had a
just
prelude.
Dolphin stock.
Yeah, we kind of had a prelude to this conversation last week when we were talking about the upcoming schedule for the Cardinals, and that
Yeah.
is again why I will be matching your move with the Cardinals here, and I am also selling them because 1,000 added to the bank versus 1,000 that is going to just lose value is a lot better sounding to me,
Yeah. And
which
then
puts me at 1,700 in my bank.
all I've got right now is 3 shares of the Dolphins stock. That's all I'm down to. And despite winning, like I said, they stay at 750 a share. They in the next or for the rest of the season, they play the Titans next week, the Jets the week after that, and then they round it out with a gauntlet of 3 games against the Cowboys, Ravens, and Bills. So, my plan right now is to hold on to those 3 shares of the Dolphins stock for their games against the Titans and Jets, and then likely sell them before they play the Cowboys. I don't have a lack of confidence in the Dolphins, but if they win the next 2 games like I expect them to, they will then be worth 800 a share. So if they win 2 games in a row, they go up $50 a share. And if they then lose 1 game after that, they go from being 800 to being back down to 750. So I might keep them for that, but if they increase at all, I think I'm probably going to just go ahead and move off of them. Just
These stop
because,
lists.
yeah. So I think going into the season, I think we started with 1,500 each, right?
Yes.
So I've gone from having 1,500 to investing in these teams, and my net worth, which is including my 1,100 in the bank and my 3 shares of the Dolphin stock, is up to over $3,300. Fake stock money, of course. I feel like
Hmm.
reiterating that every now and then.
Every now and then.
And I think that's a good point to end the season. If I could get a nice round 3,400, that'd be nice. If I can hold on to the Dolphin stock for a little while longer, and or I guess it would go up 50 a share, so I'd get another 150. So I'd be up to 3,500. If I could get a nice round 3,500,
That's a nice number. Yeah.
I'd be very happy just having no stocks walking out of the season up 2 grand. I'd be thrilled. So that is my plan. I think the Dolphins win their next 2 games. I don't think that's a wild take to have, and so that's what I'm going to be betting on.
Yep. I need a refresher on the rules real quick. If you know off the top, what's the current maximum we can own of a stock right now?
5.
Okay, thought so. So 3, 2, 1. So I've had just 4 Panthers stocks this whole time. Now that I have so much capital in the bank, I'm just going to do the obligatory increase that to 5 there. So that brings my rank down to 1,600, while increasing my share to 500 money wise. Um, the the money I have in the bank right now, I'm thinking of holding with my current plan because the Lions have a easy schedule compared to other top of the NFC teams, and the AFC is kind of just blown wide open at the moment. So I'm not really, especially with such injuries like Trevor Lawrence and Burrow, it's like it's hard to pick on. Um, and I mean, even Jalen Hurts has been kind of having some in and outs, some struggles there. Um, it's hard to pick any one team as like, okay, they're going to be surging right now. Um, could go back to the Texans well, but it's like I'm gonna be safer with my money right now because coming up the Texans would be playing the Jets, um, which I mean, hey, that could be a good lock, but it's not something I want to necessarily just bet on because despite the Jets, I mean, they're staying close in games that they absolutely have no reason staying close with Tim Boyle throwing passes. Um, but you move forward from that, and then you're looking at the um, who do they play week 15? I'm not seeing it. The Titans in division could be tough. The week 16 matchup for them is the Browns, which it depends on. Do we have any DTR updates actually?
No, because Joe Flacco's starting.
I'm aware that he was starting. I just don't know if there was any news on DTR's concussion. Because if DTR was to come in for that matchup, I'd be a little more worried about it than Joe Flacco. But the Texans are kind of like Texans and Lions are my radar if I wanted to get like a little bit of squeak money out. But I'm really aiming to see if I can hit 3K with the stocks I currently have, and that's kind of the purpose of adding some more capital to the Panthers because the Panthers win, and hopefully I just see a little minor increase to that.
Yeah. As far as stock moves for the rest of the season, I think I'm probably close to done. I did go ahead and check out the Seahawks rest of season schedule because I do kind of believe in them a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little rough to start off. They play the 49ers and then they go ahead and play the Eagles. So those are two really tough matchups coming up that I could see them dropping both of. But then they go on to play the Titans, the Steelers, and the Cardinals to end the season off. So I think that if the Dolphins win out like I expect them to, I'll probably look into buying Seahawks stock going into week 16 when they're playing the Titans. And if I'm at 3,500 by then, I probably won't just because that's such a nice round number to end it off on, and I would be thrilled entering next season's stock market with that much. But we shall see. That's not anything that is currently going to happen, at least not to my knowledge.
And another just a little quick thing on my own stock keeping here is that the Panthers, if they just win one game in the next 2 weeks with a new coach and that new little spunk that they always seem to get, it missed them this past week with their, the edge that has been going to those teams that make moves. Missed them this week, maybe next week, maybe the week after. But if they just win one of those, their value nearly doubles for me. So it's a safe bet because I can't lose any money from it. So I'm just fingers crossed they actually managed to win a game to end this season.
Yeah, that's the tough part is them winning.
Mm-hmm.
But they do play the Falcons in 2 weeks. They play the Saints this week. Those are two divisional matchups that don't have really strong opponents. Then
It's not like impossible, but it's also they're the worst team in league, so it's hard to.
They play the
They play the Bucks
Packers,
again in Week 18.
Packers, Jags, and Bucks to end the season out. So it's like 5 straight matchups of like, well, the team they're playing isn't that good, but their team is really bad. So we'll see what happens there. And I think that's definitely all the stock moves I'm making today. Is that everything you've got for stocks?
Yep.
All right, then we shall move into pick'ems. Give myself some time for the transition. And starting off, the worst Thursday night football game that could ever be concocted and could not be flexed out in time, unfortunately. It's the Patriots.
Is Mason Rudolph starting, or
no,
is
it's
it
Mitch
be...
Trubisky. Mason Rudolph isn't on the Steelers anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, I mixed up names. I meant Mitch.
Where is he now? Oh no, he is still there. It's Mitch.
Yeah.
It's Mitch. So Trubisky against the Patriots.
How do you feel? Is this going to be another 6-0 loss?
I'm worried it's going to be a 0-0 tie. I'm going to be 100%. You know what? Nah. I'm not picking any. I am legitimately guessing a tie for this game, and we're not putting any. And yes, I'm choosing piss yellow for the tie.
What a horrendous. But to match a horrendous game, a horrendous matchup.
So I'm guessing that it's going to be a tie. It's not. There's going to be a winner, but I just don't see any of these teams doing anything. The Patriots defense is so good. I'm worried that they are going to win off of a defensive touchdown. Like I'm worried that's the only points that is going to be scored in this entire game. Just because there's such strong defensive teams that like one of the defenses is just going to score because the offense on the other side sucks so bad. But I'm gonna dread having to watch that. So, but I am gonna watch it just because I hate myself a little bit too much.
Yeah, that hate factor.
So you heard it here first time in the franchise tagged podcast that a tie is being predicted live, and it is the Patriots Steelers. And if it's 0-0, I wouldn't be shocked. And then next up we got Bucks at Falcons. This is another one of those division matchups where it's just like, God, these teams suck. And so I'm going to take the Buccaneers just because I hate Arthur Smith, and I think that Baker Mayfield is okay and Mike Evans is still doing his thing. So I think they're getting a little hot as of late, and I would like to see them continue that, I guess. Rams at Ravens. I'll take the Ravens at home. I think the Rams are good. I think the Ravens are better. Lions at Bears. Bears have the Lions number, but I still think the Lions are better than the Bears, and I think that they will end up winning that one. Colts at Bengals. Colts at Jake Browning-led Bengals, who looked elite this week through most of it. He was a very efficient passer. I swear in the first half he had 2 incompletions or something like that. Like it was nuts. But I am going to be taking the Colts here. I think they've been on a bit too much of a hot streak to let Jake Browning stop them. And then Jags at Browns. This all hinges on if Trevor Lawrence plays, but I think the Browns defense is strong enough that even if he does, I could see the Browns winning, and so I'm just going to call the Browns. Yeah, I'm gonna say the Browns are going to take that one. Panthers at Saints. It's another one of those trash NFC South division matchups. We've got another one earlier this week, and I'm just going to be betting against the Panthers because it seems to be the smart decision. And then Texans at Jets. We're going Texans there. Vikings at Raiders. I don't even remember what the Vikings look like with Josh Dobbs. And you know what, actually? I have the Raiders picked, but Justin Jefferson's coming back. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Vikings in that matchup because I did forget about that. Seahawks at Niners, divisional matchup at home for the 49ers. They are on a tear right now. They just beat the Eagles. They are feeling good. Barring injury, I'm taking the 49ers, and I'm feeling very confident in that. Bills at Chiefs. Josh Allen is going to cry yet again when he loses to Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City.
It's going to be OT.
Oh my God, if it goes to OT, dude. Broncos at Chargers. Broncos at Chargers. Look, all right. The Chargers just put up 6 points on the worst team in the league, and I think the Broncos are going to take that one. And yes, that you heard me correctly. I think if the Panthers played the Patriots, the Panthers would win that game. So, Eagles at Cowboys. I'm taking the Cowboys. I'm here for an Eagles slide. I don't feel
I agree
super
with that.
confident in it, but just looking at the two teams, the Eagles have looked like a team that can win any game. The Cowboys have looked like a team that is going to win, if that makes sense. They look a little bit more decisive, a little bit stronger, and the Eagles just have looked a little weak this season. We've got Titans at Dolphins. I'm taking the Dolphins. I don't think that's any surprise.
Okay.
And I ended the streak of mine that I had that was picking
Locking
different
your
locks, and I'm gonna just lock the Dolphins again, back-to-back weeks. It'll hurt me one of these times, but I'm a simple man. I want to keep that lock record high. And then Packers at Giants. This is the game I'm assuming you're gonna lock, just because you are keeping up that streak of locking new teams, and I don't think you've locked the Packers yet. But I've got Packers. They're on a hot streak. Jordan Love looks good, and we shall see how he looks against a weak Giants team.
Thanks for the idea on who I should lock.
I almost locked them. I was like, oh, I should totally lock them. And then I was like, I like the Dolphins against the Titans better, and I don't have any desire to keep a new team locked.
So I will go through my picks here. I don't think it's going to be a piss yellow tie. I think it's going to be a Steelers yellow win.
I think regardless of it being a tie or not, it's going to be a piss yellow game. So
poor Thursday night crew.
Oh my god, oh my god, dude.
They're going to be so bored.
If there's a single touchdown, I'll give a random person in the comments $20.
Dude, I'm gonna comment
Sorry,
so fast.
if there is an offensive touchdown from more than 5 yards out, that's what I'll do. Offensive touchdown from more than 5 yards out, I will give somebody random in the comments $20 hairs.
No, which doll?
20. I got a 20. You see that 20?
Buckaroos. I was hoping you were whipping out a Barbie.
I wish. That would be cheaper than this.
Plucking some hair. Yeah.
That 20 is going to anybody if there's a touchdown scored.
No, that derailed. This is taking very long.
It is.
To get through my.
keep it going. I'll talk about the Bucks Falcons next.
I'll speed up the process like I did last week and only talk about the differences. So I also have the Bucks. I have the Rams beating the Ravens. I know, upset, but
you just like the Rams.
I do like the Rams, but also, I mean, they do have Puka with that injury, but Cup's back, and Cup's had some lackluster games.
Cup's back,
but I'm not
bud.
I'm not gonna be putting any money against them because I still like them. And with that note, I'm gonna be keeping with the Lions over the Bengals. Over the Bears. I have the Colts over the Bengals. I also have the Browns over a Bethard-led Jags. The Saints over the Panthers, despite that being a either way kind of game. The Saints really clawed back in the game against the Lions, so I think that they could probably they have motivation.
I think especially
down and giving up, so.
Especially if Jameis starts, I think they're gonna just torch the Panthers defense. Chris Olave is going for 300.
The Texans over the Jets was my original lock, and then I remembered that Giants are starting Tommy DeVito, and you
he looked good. He looked good last week.
Did you see the it came out like right?
Sorry, he was on bye last week. He looked good week 12.
Did you see the Gridiron Heights?
Mm-mm.
He's got a baby voice.
Oh my god!
Check that out. Next up is the Vikings. I'm picking the Vikings there. I'm still concerned about them with Josh Dobbs, and Jetta's coming back. So Niners are going to beat Seahawks. Chiefs. I have the Bills just because the Chiefs. Surprisingly, there weren't that many drops last week. That's slight improvement.
It's hard to drop it when you've got a guy draped on your back, though.
Yeah, but Pacheco also had a great game. So I feel confident in them while I'm losing confidence in the Bills every passing week. Um, Broncos Chargers. Broncos here. Shout out Matthew. Uh,
No shout outs to Matthew.
You're right.
He doesn't
Edit
watch the
that out.
episodes. No, I'm leaving it in so that he can let us know if he actually watches the episodes. It's okay.
Yeah,
We
there
know
you
he
go.
doesn't.
It's called out. Will he respond? Um, Next is the same through with yours. Cowboys, Dolphins, Packers winning, and the Packers being the lock.
That
I can't
is
wait for us to go like 8-7.
if there was ever a
These
week
picks.
for if there was ever a week for me to go undefeated and get every pick right, this is the one with my tie pick.
Oh my goodness.
Can you imagine if the
That'd be
Patriots
crazy.
and if the Patriots and Steelers tie? I'm counting that as 2 wins. Just so you know, I'm counting that as a 2-0
Yeah, double.
record for that one.
Yeah. I mean, you might as well. What
Yeah.
else do you really have to lose there?
Exactly. I hope you all know that I am calling that game as a tie strictly because I just couldn't be bothered to pick which team is gonna win the poop contest.
That's a good old shit show, buddy.
Is this
And I
the
think that's a
devolving
great way
into
to-
the
Yep.
into the end of the episode?
I think you've initiated it quite well.
All right, check back with the.
Okay, Tommy DeVito.
Check back with us next week to see what players are actually wearing the numbers 41 through 50. We don't know. You probably don't either.
Mhm.
So we'll see who actually exists in those numbers. Continue your homework, kids. Remember it from last week. Put together a team with one player from each number. And all y'all got to do is 22. 11 offense, 11 defense. And if you do that,
Not 99.
not
lucky
like
y'all.
us. Oh, we didn't do number
Just the
0.
40s.
We didn't do number 0. That exists now.
Zero's the number.
Oh my god. Wait.
God.
All right. Update, guys.
Retroactive.
Let's
right at
do
the
it.
End. Zero.
Let's see if there's even a list. There 100% is. Okay.
There's Brian Burns.
Oh my god, there's a guy named Walt Kopish that wore it in
Tune in next
1926.
Bye.
No, we're doing this right now, actually.
No, add it on the next week.
No,
Oh my
Brian Burns is solid.
DeAndre Swift, Roquan Smith,
Calvin Ridley,
Calvin Ridley.
shout out. I think I'm taking Roquan here.
I think I'm picking Walt Kopish.
The 1926 legend himself. Yeah,
Fresh out of the draft.
I'm gonna take Roquan Smith.
not the NFL draft.
We'll officially do it next week. Y'all have a good one.
Deuces.